Hello, good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. This is Hot Edition coming to you live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Coming up this evening, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, the PURC, announces reduction in electricity and water tariffs. What does this mean for the ordinary Ghanaian? Tonight we dive into the critical matters. And later in the bulletin, rising concerns over the cost of university application forms, with some parents questioning whether the system is fair.
In Legon, I think I paid like 200 cedis for both universities. So imagine someone who doesn't have that money to apply for both universities here.
And that's a critical question being asked, and we'll find out what this means, especially for new applicants. And later, Social Workers Association of Ghana says there is persistent challenge in the operations of their work, including lack of vehicles and inadequate funds.
Social workers don't have vehicles to do monitoring and supervision. It's a big challenge. Number two is inadequate logistics, such as laptops, printers, photocopiers.
Before we bring you details of all of these stories, let's get the news summaries with Nura Mohammed. Hello, Nura.
Hello, Martin. Good evening. This is the news summary right here on Hot Edition. First in the summaries, Vice President Professor Nana Jinopoko-Agyemang has described the University of Cape Coast as the foundation of her academic and professional journey, saying the institution helped shape the values that guided her path from student to national leader. Speaking after receiving the Distinguished Fellow Award from the University of Cape Coast, the Vice President delivered a reflective address highlighting the role of the institution and what it played and the broader responsibility that comes with education. Meanwhile, the Minister of Interior has informed the general public that Friday 20th March and Saturday 21st March 2026 mark Eid al-Fitr and Shak days, which are statutory public holidays. However, the minister said in view of the fact that 21st March 2026 falls on a Saturday, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana has, by Executive Instrument EI, in accordance with Section 2 of the Public Holidays and Commemorative Days Act 601, as amended, declared Monday 23rd March 2026 as an additional public holiday. Now to some other stories. The Deputy Minister for Education, Dr. Clement Apak, has called on students to uphold discipline and integrity as they pursue academic and professional excellence. He made the appeal during the 2025 West African Examinations Council WAEC Distinction Awards ceremony held at the Sechi Asari Minako WAEC Hall in Cantonment on March 12. It is a great privilege and honor to join you today to celebrate excellence at the 2025 WAEC Distinction Award ceremony. Today we gather not only to recognize academic brilliance, but also to celebrate the values of dedication, resilience, discipline, and perseverance that underpin true success, Dr. Apak said. Meanwhile, Ghana has introduced a commercial electric vehicle EV charging tariff. And the tariff, announced by the Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission (PURC), is part of efforts to promote green energy transition. The new tariff sets EV charging at 201.6 Ghana pesos, which is 2.016 Ghana cedi per kilowatt hour, with a service charge of 500 cedis per month, marking the first time the country has regulated commercial EV electricity pricing. And that will be all for the news summaries. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Nura, for the summaries. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Let's settle for the details of our stories now, starting from the issues of utility tariffs that we have heard has seen a downward review. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has announced a reduction in utility tariffs for the second quarter of this year, effective the 1st of April 2026. According to a statement from the Commission, electricity charges are set to be reduced by 4.81%, while water tariffs will go down by 3.06%. According to the PURC, these adjustments have been carried out in line with the Commission's mandate to review tariffs on a quarterly basis, reflecting developments within the quarter. These adjustments have been carried out in line with the Commission's mandate to review tariffs on a quarterly basis to reflect development within the quarter, and the quarterly reviews track and incorporate movement in key factors for which their variability affects the operations of utility service providers. These factors are the exchange rate between the Ghana cedi and the US dollar, domestic inflation rate, electricity generation mix, and the cost of fuel, mainly natural gas, to power the thermal plants. Dr. Eric Kofi Obute is the Director of Research and Corporate Affairs at the PURC. He's joined us on phone for a quick chat. Doc, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Martin. I hope you are doing well.
I am very well, thank you. To start with, which of the variables that we mentioned earlier, which include the exchange rate, inflation, cost of fuel, and then the electricity generation mix, which of these, played a bigger role in these quarters' reduction?
Thank you very much, Martin. The cost of gas has increased marginally by 2.84%, according to the data that we have. So, but the generation mix between thermal and hydro has been the same. So basically, these two factors of exchange rate and inflation played a key role in the reduction of the tariffs.
We know, and thanks for that explanation, we know that the quarterly tariff review mechanism works. There is the quarterly one, then there is the annual one. Help us understand the difference in the two, and at what point, is it the same factors that influence whether it's a quarterly review or an annual review?
Okay, here is it. We have a major tariff and then we have a minor tariff. Now, in the major tariff, we call it the MITU, that's the multi-year tariff order. That spans over a period. The last time we did a major tariff was in 2022, and that's extended between September 2022 and 2025, which was a 3-year period. Now, we have done another major tariff, which is supposed to last for a period of 5 years. So it's starting from 2026 to 2030. In the major tariff, we consider both capital expenses and operational expenses. But in the minor tariff, which we do on a quarterly basis to adjust for the tariffs to maintain the real value of the tariffs that we set in the major tariff, we consider only operational expenses. We don't consider capital expenses. So the main difference between the two is that one is set for a longer period, which is either 3 or 5 year period, and another one is set on a quarterly basis just to account for the factors that the service providers do not have control over. And those factors are the 4 factors that you mentioned.
Right.
And in the minor tariff, we consider only operational expenses, but in the major tariff, we consider both capital and operational expenses.
The utilities, when I know that the announcement of this downward review came today, but what reaction are you getting from the utilities? Usually they would have expected an upward review, and the reason they normally cite is operational cost, the fact that the monies they receive in terms of revenue is never really enough to continue with their operation. So anytime there's this kind of a non-increase or a downward review, they raise concerns. How have they reacted to today's announcement?
Well, the good news is that the service providers are fully aware that in the adjustment of the tariff on a quarterly basis, we considered exchange rate and inflation especially. Now, if there's an over-recovery, as the case is now, whereby we assume that the exchange rate to be 12 cedis, but it's actually hovering around 11 cedis, then there has been an over-recovery by the service providers, and we need to claw that one back for consumers. So the benefits that they got over the 3-month period, we make sure that we claw it back and give it to the consumers, so the consumers can benefit from that. So the utilities are fully aware of that. When it comes to collection, the PURC has benchmarks for their collections. So when they sell, they are supposed to get 98% of whatever it is that they've sold. So there are benchmarks. So it's not the case that maybe because they have not been able to collect money, so we should give them more money. No, there are benchmarks that we use for all these computations. And when the benchmarks are, if you maintain the benchmarks, obviously the service provider should be in a good stead. Mind you, the PURC is as a referee. So we're not only on the side of the service provider, and we're also not on the side of the consumers. So wherever the the pendulum swings, that's where the tariffs will swing.
Okay, and for the ordinary Ghanaian or the regular consumer of these utilities, does this reduction mean they are to pay less, or they are to repeat how much they've been paying over the last quarter, and that there isn't clearly an increment? What does it mean for the average Ghanaian?
Well, the average Ghanaian would experience a reduction in the bill if and only if that average Ghanaian is able to contain or maintain the consumption of his electricity or water. Now, if you decide that because the tariffs have been reduced, so you will increase your consumption, obviously you will not experience that reduction in the bill. But if you maintain your consumption, or maybe reduce your consumption even, which we call demand side management, obviously you'd experience a reduction in your bill that you pay at the end of the month for a postpaid meter, and even for a prepaid meter, you will not be spending that much money to pay ahead before they give you the service. So it all depends on the consumer and the consumption pattern of the consumer.
Two final questions, then you can take leave of us. We know also that there are some global developments, the war in the Middle East, for instance, and its potential impact on fuel prices. We know that because we also depend largely on thermal plants, there is a possibility the crude we use for these machines could also be affected. Is that a possibility that the PURC is looking at? And if yes, how does that fit into the general scheme of things?
Okay, for now, we have a weighted average cost of gas moving from $7.87 per MMBTU, which is the measure in which we measure the gas, the unit of measurement for gas, is moving from 7.87 to 8.09, which is a 2.84% increment. So that has been factored into it. Now, depending on what would happen on the world market, if the gas prices remain the same or they move up, but we have a strong currency appreciating against the cedi, that will also play a different dynamic. So it all depends on what will happen on the international markets. Mind you, I said these four factors, the service providers do not have control over them. Just as you said, the war that is ravaging the whole world, they do not have control over the pricing of the product. So whatever price they get, or whatever price we get, that's the price that we would use. PURC also does not have control over those prices. So whatever comes to us, that is what we use. We get gas prices from N-Gas, we get from Sankofa, we get from Jubilee, we get from TEN. So we put it all together, and that's what gives us the weighted cost of the gas that we use for the thermal plants.
Okay, and my last question would be that the utility companies, I know that you are the regulator, have they been able to live up to expectation the quarter under review?
The question is, have they been able to live up to expectation? Is that
in terms of, yes, have they been able to live up to expectation in terms of how they have customer satisfaction, and then also the consistency in the supply of the service they provide?
To a very large extent, I would say yes. At least we all bear witness to the fact that we do not have these rampant power outages. Wherever people have low voltages, the voltages have been ramped up. The money which is being given to them to undertake capital expenditure, they are undertaking the capital expenditure to make sure that transformers and cables are put in place to serve people in the areas that there are low voltages. Their collection ratio has improved significantly. Their losses have come down to an appreciable level. So I would say on the whole that yes, they have lived up to expectation, even though they have not made the mark, but there's still room for improvement.
Dr. Obute, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for your time this evening.
My pleasure.
Dr. Eric Obute is Director of Research and Corporate Affairs at the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC. And the news is, if you're just joining us, the news is that the PURC has announced a reduction in electricity and water tariff. So it takes effect from the 1st of April, where water is now gone down by 3.6%, and then electricity by 4.81%. So it means that if, depending on your usage, you are likely to pay less when you go to pay for your utilities within this quarter. That is from the 1st of April going, you are likely to pay less. Let's now speak to someone who's also been following this particular development very closely. That is the Executive Director of the Center for Environmental and Sustainable Energy, Mr. Benjamin Nsia. Mr. Nsia, thank you for your time. And what are your initial thoughts on this reduction announced by the PRC?
You're welcome. You want detect to call us. So on your question, I think that it is commendable on their part to look at the data and then ensure that they factor the data in certain reflective tariff that benefits electricity end user and also electricity producer or the seller. And I think it's something that they've done quite well. However, we at Centre still believe that the 4.81 reduction should have been higher than this. And also, there's a bit of conflict with respect to the data they used in setting these second quarter tariffs, as well as the lack of transparency in how some of the data were also sourced and applied in this tariff adjustment for the second quarter.
Right, and I notice you are commending the reduction, although based on what you're saying, you're more or less saying that it could have been more. The 5.8 you say could probably have been more, or we should be paying much less than what the PRC is announcing. What is informing this position that you're sharing?
Well, first of all, I think that there are two tariff regimes in Ghana. We have the multi-year tariff review order. We have the quarterly tariff review order. And if you take their second quarter tariff adjustment for the year 2026, it reflects on one thing that which creates a lot of confusion and conflict. For example, the dollar they used 12 Ghana cedis I think 12 Ghana cedis, some pesos or some to the dollar, right? And that figure they used was a figure used for the multi-year tariff review order and not for quarter one. So there's a difference between multi-year tariff review order and quarters adjustment. So the multi-year tariff review order covers a period of about 4 years. Now, instead of them adapting the actual dollar rate for the quarter, rather they used a reflective a reflective exchange rate for the multi-year tariff review order. That is one. Now, two, if you also look at the inflation data they pick, the average inflation data, as well as even the current projection for the average exchange rate, they pick data from December, January, and February. It has never happened in a case where PRC takes those data to project prices of quarters. Normally, they pick the estimated annual average, estimated quarterly average, or estimated projection of some of the averages, either for semi or quarter or annual. And that has been the practice since 2025. So I was surprised when they considered December, January, February. Which quarter was it falling? Was it falling in the fourth quarter 2025 or falling into the first quarter 2026? So when you do that, it makes the pricing of electricity quite expensive. And also the percentage that ought to have been reduced, you will not get a percentage. For example, and now let me give you this instance. In the fourth quarter of 2025, the PURC used an inflation of 12%. The average inflation for that quarter was 6.6%. In the first quarter of 2026, the average inflation, even though the quarter has not ended, but the projected average inflation is around 3.4 or maybe 3.2. But in their projection, because they take data from December, January, February, they are using a higher inflation of 4.17. Now, when you use a higher inflation, your expectation is that the utility providers are going to expand by that margin of increment in their cost of operation. So if you use a higher inflation, it means that they are going to expand higher than the actual projected. So I think that they should have used a lower inflationary figure. Now, the exchange rate too, there's another thing. Because they take exchange rate figures from December, January, February, you realize that the inflation, the exchange rate that they used, 11.19, was also on the higher side. For example, today when I was looking at the BOG data, I was even observing 10.88 from December, January, February, but TURC used 11.19 to the dollar. That's what. So that is why instead of the consumer getting 11% reduction in the price of electricity, the consumer is getting something below 5%. And I think that they need to review some of these data and make sure that the pricing of electricity is very fair to both consumers and also utility providers.
Right. Maybe my last two questions. So if you meet the average Ghanaian on the street, how would you explain this reduction to them? Would you say it is fair? Based on current parameters that the PURC announced and the analysis you just made, would you say that the consideration of a reduction is in the right direction?
It is not, and I even think that they should have even reduced for the first quarter of 2026 before moving to the second quarter of 2025, because they are different between multi-year tariff order and then quarterly tariff adjustment. What it means is that the consumer is not going to benefit from the first quarter of 2026, and that's unfair. So there's no fairness. But I believe that since they've taken an opportunity to reduce it by less than 5%, we will commend them. But they critically need to look at the data and also bear in mind that the act that established them, that is 538, and what the lawyers will say, instruct them to be fair to both utility providers and also utility end users.
Right. My last question to you is the introduction of the electricity vehicle charging tariff. This is the first time that the PURC is introducing it. I actually wanted to ask that to Dr. Obute, but it slipped my mind. What do you make of it, considering the fact that we seem to be seeing a lot more EVs on our roads?
Yeah, I think that is also commendable. It is good that we have commercial tariffs for vehicle users, especially e-mobility or those electric vehicles in the transport sector. Like before, we used to have a system where some of them were charged either industrial tariffs or were billed based on residential tariffs, and sometimes there's not fairness in that. So if you're able to calibrate actual accurate tariffs for CTOs that use electric mobility or e-mobility, I think.
In utility announced by the Public Utility Regulatory Commission, PURC, which is a 4.81% reduction for electricity and then 3.06% reduction for water. So what do you make of this reduction? Good news, yes, but how much would that mean for the consumption that you carry out quarterly? Do send us a message on our Facebook stream and our YouTube stream as well. Just look for 3FM 92.7 and you can be a part of the national conversation. And also send us a message on Twitter. You can send it to my personal handle at Newsy Martin, NEWSY Martin. Newsy Martin, and I'll be happy to share it with the rest of the world. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. It is live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. Now, concerns are rife over the cost of university application forms, with some parents questioning whether the system is fair. Every year, thousands of prospective students purchase application forms from public universities, yet only a small percentage secure admission. The issue has sparked debate about whether universities are fleecing parents and raising revenue from applicants who ultimately do not get admission. My colleague Evelyn Tingma has been following this particular story and has come through with this report.
In many homes across the country, it is usually both excitement and anxiety anytime results are released from the West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WASSCE. For the thousands of students who hope to enter university, the next step, purchasing application forms, often comes with a financial burden that some families struggle to afford. Application forms for public universities typically cost between 200 and 300 Ghana cedis or more, depending on the institution and program.
So I bought two. I bought KNUST and University of Ghana, but I was fortunate to be in Legon. I think I paid like 200 cedis for both universities. So imagine someone who doesn't have that money to apply for both universities. Yeah, so I think the application form should be free or it should be reduced.
They should be free because there are some people who they really want to further their education, and they have hustled to gather some money to buy their forms, and then at the end they are not even taken.
For many students who apply to multiple universities to increase their chances of admission, the total cost can quickly rise to over 1,000 Ghana cedis.
I tried applying last year, but because of financial, I couldn't. Although I was ready to go to school, but to get that little money to buy the form, that moment I couldn't get it to purchase. Meanwhile, it was my plan to start last year, but around that time it was 200 something plus, not up to 300 cedis. So the two will be approximately almost 600.
The recurring expense has sparked concerns, with the question being asked whether public university application forms should be free.
I believe that, the universities have some primary sources of funding from the government sector, which is the subvention that comes from government, but mostly they rely on what we call IGFs, internally generated funds, and selling or sale of admission forms is one of the ways that they are able to raise money to do some of the things that they do on campus. So I don't see it as a rip-off. I think that it is something that we need to have a discussion on.
Some have argued that the cost of the university forms can discourage talented students from applying, especially those from low-income households or rural communities. But Deputy Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, Professor Augustine Oklu, insists that application fees are necessary.
It's a standard practice that people pay for the application fees. Funding for education, especially tertiary education all over the world, is significantly reducing. Governments don't have that much funding to support the institutions.
University administrators have also argued that processing applications involves staff, technology systems and communication expenses. Therefore, the application fees help cover administrative costs, including processing applications each year, maintain online portals, and verify academic records. Professor Oklu has meanwhile said the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission is developing a common application platform expected to be implemented within a year to streamline the process to help reduce the need for multiple payments.
As a commission, we've been working hard to come out with what we call the common application platform, where we would hook on all the institutions onto that platform. So you pay just once and you're able to access all universities, and then your application can be moved from one university to the other in case you've not gotten your first choice, your second choice and third choice.
Well, some advocates say the debate is likely to continue as demand for university education grows. Many parents are urging policymakers and institutions to review the process to ensure it remains fair, transparent, and affordable.
And that's a story put together by Evelyn Tingma. And if you're listening to us and you fall within the category of people who also think that the universities should actually not be charging, for the forms that students pick, do let us know what you make of it, and I will be happy to share it with the rest of the world. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition, and we are going on to some other stories this evening. The Social Workers Association of Ghana, SWAG, has indicated persistent challenges in the operations of their work, including the lack of vehicles and inadequate funds. The Ghana Development Awards 2026, organized by the Business Executive Group, recognizes and celebrates the transformational efforts of individuals and businesses. The Social Workers Association of Ghana, SWAG, received the Most Outstanding Service in Promoting Ethical Standards and Professional Excellence Award. National President of the Association of the Social Workers Association of Ghana, Divine Arnold Azogbe, who received an award in recognition of their work, called on the central government to improve their working environment.
Social workers don't have vehicles to do monitoring and supervision. It's a big challenge. Number 2 is inadequate logistics such as laptops, printers, photocopiers, just to mention a few. Number 3 is lack or inadequate funds to run the offices. We are calling on the government to set up social welfare offices. Some places you go, one social worker, and the office, no chair even to sit on. You can imagine how bad the government put social workers.
And that's the president of the national president of the Association of Social Workers of Ghana, Divine Arnold. Now, he received an award in recognition of his work and how they have been able to ensure that businesses still influence society. And he's calling on central government to improve the working environment for staff and the nation. This is 3FM 92.7. Stay with us. We have many more stories for you after we take this quick break. When we return from this break, we'll take you to the world of politics, where the New Patriotic Party, you know, is gearing up for its general elections to elect national and constituency level executives. What are the key issues that are dominating the conversations? We'll delve into that when we return from this break. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition.
Let's go. Accra, are you ready? It's time for yet another Gobe Festival on Saturday, March 28th. The Legon City Mall Gobe Festival. Look, plenty food festivals there, but none be like Gobe Fest, because Gobe no be just food. It's a movement, a cult following, real lovers from every walk of life, corporate workers, bosses, celebs, campus crew, everybody pulling up for one mission, proper Gobe. And it's not just one pot, it's the best Gobe vendors from the capital and beyond. 7 back-to-back heat, hot, loaded and unforgettable. But that's not all. There will be non-stop music, games, mad fun, and one big explosion of joy. So gather your people, come hungry, come loud. Gobe Festival, Saturday, March 28th, Legon City Mall, 10 a.m. You don't just eat it, you experience it. To book your space as a vendor, please call or WhatsApp 0532 200 927 or 0531 100 927.
3FM Gobe Festival is sponsored by Gino Hot Pepper Powder, Gino Curry Powder,
Fratelli Calipo, Obuasi Bitters, Numna Wumwangasa.
Let's go. Accra, are you ready? It's time for yet another Gobe Festival on Saturday, March 28th. The Legon City Mall Gobe Festival. Look, plenty food festivals there, but none be like Gobe Fest, because Gobe no be just food. It's a movement, a cult following, real lovers from every walk of life, corporate workers, bosses, celebs, campus crew, everybody pulling up for one mission, proper Gobe. And it's not just one pot, it's the best Gobe vendors from the capital and beyond. 7 back-to-back heat, hot, loaded and unforgettable. But that's not all. There will be non-stop music, games, mad fun, and one big explosion of joy. So gather your people, come hungry, come loud. Gobe Festival, Saturday, March 28th, Legon City Mall, 10 a.m. You don't just eat it, you experience it. To book your space as a vendor, please call or WhatsApp 0532 200 927 or 0531 100 927.
3FM Gobe Festival is sponsored by Gino Hot Pepper Powder, Gino Curry Powder,
Fratelli Calipo, Obuasi Bitters, Numna Wumwangasa.
Let's go. Accra, are you ready? It's time for yet another Gobe Festival on Saturday, March 28th. The Legon City Mall Gobe Festival. Look, plenty food festivals there, but none be like Gobe Fest because Gobe no be just food. It's a movement, a cult following, real lovers from every walk of life, corporate workers, bosses, celebs.
It is live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. Let's delve into other stories we have for you this evening. To politics now. And an aspiring NPP national organizer on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party who doubles as the former MP for Doma West, Ali Maiga Halidu, has called on the New Patriotic Party delegates to vote for the incumbent and grassroots person to organize the party to win power in 2028. Here's a report by Nana Yao Asare, who's been following developments within the rank and file of the party.
Ali Maiga Halidu revealed that the NPP needs a strong grassroots person to ginger the party from the polling station level to national level. Ali Maiga Halidu entreated NPP delegates to vote massively for him to help Dr. Alhaji Bawumia to win power for NPP in 2028.
We are in opposition, so the face of our party is going to be our leaders. That's why some of us would want to put ourselves to serve at the national organizer level. We need somebody who is strategic, innovative, and hardworking. I tell people that the organization department is like the defensive midfielder of the party. There should be national chairman in you, there should be general secretary in you, there should be a communicator in you, there should be a youth organizer in you, there should be a woman organizer in you, there should be a Nasara organizer in you. So you are a whole package because you are the third marshal.
Meanwhile, the MP for Itiwa East, who doubles as former Deputy Finance Minister, Abnor Seyasari, called on NPP delegates to vote for Ali Maiga Halidu since he has experience in politics.
He's very dedicated. He's worked through the ranks of the party. He's been at the grassroots, he's been at the regional level, and then he was able to also win primaries and win a whole constituency for the MPP party. Many are the things that Honorable Ali has done. And when you speak to current members of parliament, telling them, informing them that Honorable Ali would want to contest for the national organizer position, what they tell you is that, oh, as for Ali, we know he can do this job.
And that's a report put together by Nanaya Asari. At the latter part, he had, some endorsement statements coming in for the aspirant who seeks to win the national organizer position. That gives you the impression that Nana B, as many of you would know him in political circles, his position is under threat because the number of people who are seeking to contest him is increasing by the day. But trust your election command center to keep tabs on all the developments within the political space, both NDC and MPP, and update you as we move along. Away from that, the Health Facilities Regulatory Authority, HEFRA, is urging health facilities across the country to set up bed bureau management systems as a step to address the issue of no-bed syndrome at the major hospitals. Dr. Winfred Ba, registrar for HEFRA, during an inspection tour of health facilities in the Volta region, explained that an effective bed bureau management system can easily identify available beds in other parts of the hospital, particularly when emergency cases arrive. There's more in this report.
No-bed syndrome is not only a structural. When I say structural, it's not only just because there are no beds, but it's also about bed management. And one of the things we realize is that sometimes there can be beds on some of the wards, and nobody knows, and then the emergency room is full. So what we are seeing is that every health facility must have a very active and efficient bed bureau management system. And this HEFRA is going to take it serious. We have come to Whole Teaching Hospital. They've gotten a very beautiful emergency ward that has been handed over to them by MTN. We've gone to look at it. Very nice. In fact, that is the kind of emergency we want to see in our hospitals. But I told them that although we've increased your bed numbers from 20 to 50, it's not enough. They can get full in one day. But when you have an efficient bed bureau management system, then you are able to manage in such a way that you always have space because you move people out to the wards and things. And that is part of the solutions to the no bed syndrome. So we gave them 3 months to set it up, and then we'll come back and look at it.
And you heard the voice of the Registrar of HEFRA, which is the Health Facilities Regulatory Authority, Dr. Winfred Barr there. And it's a clarion call on all major health facilities to ensure that they do have the necessary equipment in place, or at least a system in place to be able to tell how many beds are available at any point in time, so that in cases of emergencies, people wouldn't have to drive all the way to a particular hospital only to be disappointed that there aren't any beds in there. So it's a call that, although was made in the Volta region, cuts across the country, and many of us who have been following the recent report of an individual, an engineer who was knocked down, was rushed to the hospital, was referred a number of times, at least 3 hospitals. All of them had to refer him because of the absence of a bed in the hospital, and that in itself is a very dangerous situation nobody would want to find themselves in. So this is a call that I'm sure many of you would support. Now, a nationwide rush for jobs in Ghana's security services has sparked concerns and debate after hundreds of thousands of hopeful applicants discovered only a fraction will make the cut. There is more in this report by Judith Brown.
4 agencies, 1 overwhelming demand. The announcement that only 5,000 slots are available across the country's security services has sent shockwaves through the more than 500,000 applicants who submitted forms for recruitment.
Based on available resources, we can only take 5,000 personnel out of some 500,000 that applied.
The figures mean that just about 1% of all applicants stand a chance of being enlisted. The high interest in the recruitment exercise reflects the country's difficult job market. According to the Ghana Labour Force Statistics 2025 Quarters 1 to 3 report, national unemployment rate currently stands at 13%, with close to 2 million people out of work. For many young people, the security services remain one of the few pathways to stable employment, explaining the unprecedented number of applications. But government says it simply does not have the capacity to recruit more. Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak attributes the limited intake to a lack of resources.
The police force that we have, the number that we have, just as I mentioned, 49,000 plus. Immigration, about 18,000 plus. Fire, about 17,000 plus. Prisons, about 14,000 plus. Narcotics control, about 3,000 plus. When you put all of them together, they are less than 100,000. They are less than 100,000. But even that, the wage bill on them is about 13 billion. So if the resources were there, I would have been the happiest person if we were able to recruit about 500,000 more security people.
Meanwhile, the minority in parliament has sharply criticized the recruitment process.
These young men and women, full of hope and patriotism, were made to believe that they were being offered genuine opportunity to serve their country and secure a dignified livelihood. However, the Minister for Interior, in a press conference yesterday at this same venue, to the utter shock of the nation, indicated that only 5,000 applicants will be recruited from this enormous pool of applicants. This revelation has left hundreds of thousands of hopeful applicants devastated, disillusioned, and feeling exploited. The fundamental question that must be asked is this:
they're also demanding that authorities refund application fees to applicants who who will not make it through the recruitment process.
Responding to the plight of the 500,000 potential recruits who have been scammed, we demand the government must refund the application fees of 220 cedis per application form to all applicants who were disqualified.
But the question some Ghanaians are asking is, in previous recruitments, were unsuccessful applicants given a refund? And was there publication of the number of applicants taken compared to those applied? Well, as frustration grows among thousands of hopeful applicants, the debate over transparency and fairness in public sector recruitment is likely to intensify.
And that's a report by Judith Brown. And it's time for the latest in the world of business. And Bismarck Ewusa is here with us. Hello, Bismarck.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ewusa. Coming up tonight, Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, COMAC, announces up to 17% increase in fuel prices for second pricing window of March as Middle East conflict and Strait of Hormuz disruptions push global oil prices higher. This story and others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. The Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, COMAC, has announced sharp increases in fuel prices for the second pricing window of March, with petrol expected to rise by 16.93% to about 14 cedis 02 pesos per litre, diesel by 17.21% to 15 cedis 80 pesos per litre, and LPG by 11.26% to around 15 cedis 91 cedis per kilogram. This follows a 21.2% jump in global crude oil prices to $86.55 per barrel, triggered by disruptions to supply routes through the Strait of Hormuz. There is more in the following 3 Business News Desk report. The Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies says fuel prices are set to rise significantly in the second pricing window of March as global oil markets react to escalating tensions in the Middle East. According to COMAC's latest pricing outlook, international crude oil prices surged by 21.2% from $71.41 per barrel to $86.55 per barrel amid disruptions to oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz. The report indicates that refined petroleum products have also recorded steep increases on the international market, with diesel prices jumping by 43.94%, LPG rising by 23.96%, and petrol increasing by 19.41%. COMAC explains that the conflict in the Middle East has significantly disrupted global supply chains, with export flows through the Strait of Hormuz nearly halted and Gulf producers forced to cut output by at least 10 million barrels per day. Although the Ghana cedi appreciated slightly against the US dollar during the period, the chamber says the surge in global commodity prices is expected to push local fuel prices higher. As a result, petrol prices at the pump are projected to rise by 16.93% to about 14 cedis 02 pesos per litre, while diesel could increase by 17.21% to around 15 cedis 80 pesos per litre. LPG prices are also expected to climb by 11.26% to about 15 cedis 91 pesos per kilogram during the upcoming pricing window. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on COMAC projecting or announcing marginal increase in fuel prices starting Monday. To some other story now, and utility consumers across Ghana will see a slight relief in the coming months as the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission (PURC) announces a reduction in electricity and water tariffs for the second quarter of 2026. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission (PURC) announced a reduction in utility tariffs for the second quarter of the year, with the new rates set to take effect from April 1, 2026.
COCOBOD says the disbursement is part of efforts to clear outstanding debts within the cocoa sector and restore confidence among farmers and industry players.
We will bring you that insight later in our subsequent bulletins. And that brings us to the end of the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck. I will serve for more business stories. Please check out our website, 3news.com. Bill Eshan is here for sports. Please stay.
Thank you, Bismarck Awusa, for all the updates in the world of business. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Ishen. To our first story, Ghana's national team jersey has always carried deep symbolism, from the iconic white kit first introduced in 1959 to the various colors worn by the Black Stars over the decades. Now, ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, images circulating on social media suggest that Ghana could unveil a new look with white and yellow kits reportedly set for the tournament. Elite designs inspired by the elements of Ghanaian culture and tradition have already sparked mixed reactions among fans. There's more in the story.
In October 1959, the Black Stars were first seen in a dominant white kit, trimmed with the colors of the Ghana flag on the collar. That design would go on to define the identity of the national team, with the white jersey becoming a staple that continues to this day. Over the decades, however, Ghana's national team has experimented with other colors. The Black Stars have worn red, the match-adorned yellow strip, and even a black kit, a design many supporters still remember for the wrong reasons after it was worn during Ghana's disappointing campaign at the 2006 Africa Cup of Nations. Since partnering with German sportswear manufacturer Puma in 2005, Ghana's kit tradition has largely remained consistent for World Cup campaigns, white for home matches and red for away matches. But ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, the familiar pattern could be set for a slight twist. Images circulating on social media suggest the Black Stars will line up in a white and yellow kit for the tournament, with the designs already sparking conversation among supporters. The proposed home shirt maintains the iconic white base but introduces a striking pattern resembling a spider's web. According to early descriptions, the design draws inspiration from Kwaku Anansi, the legendary trickster figure in Ghana's folklore whose stories have been passed down for generations. The away strip also presents a refreshed take on the fan favorite. Ghana's traditional yellow jersey now features a bold all-over pattern graphic, giving the kit a more modern and energetic appearance while preserving the color many supporters have grown to love. As expected, the leaked images have triggered mixed reactions, with some fans praising the creativity behind the designs, while others prefer a return to the simpler styles of the past.
Just any day, said I have problem with Brisa, but I just say color me white and yellow, no, and what think I bear almost colors and so kakra.
Be the just matter self. It make them take only the cap camp. Only that one to go do that thing, give me a good shooting. You know the just matter self.
The new one that came out, the the B, check like spider webs. So that one I go give them like 4. This one I don't understand, like the designs and then everything. Every year they have been changing jerseys and then the designs. We can't do anything about it, so we just have to cope with it.
For now, the football community waits for official confirmation from Ghana Football Association and Puma. But one thing remains certain: whichever design the Black Stars finally wear on the world stage, the jersey will carry more than just colors. It will carry the pride, history, and expectation of nation eager to shine again at the FIFA World Cup.
That was the story there on the new released leaked jerseys ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. To some other stories, good news because Antoine Semenyo has been named the Premier League Player of the Month for February, capping an impressive first full month as Manchester City following his January move from AFC Bournemouth. The award comes after Semenyo scored 3 goals and provided 1 assist in 5 Premier League appearances in February, finding the net against Tottenham Hotspur, Fulham and Leeds United. Of course, he becomes the 3rd Ghanaian player to receive this award after Tony Yeboah, who won it twice for Leeds United in 1995, and Andrea Ayew, who earned the prize once with Swansea City back in August 2015. But there's some sad news coming in. A former Arsenal player, Thomas Partey, intends to plead not guilty to 2 new charges of rape. His lawyer has told the London court on Friday. A 32-year-old Ghana midfielder who now plays for Villarreal in Spain is separately awaiting trial on 5 counts of rape relating to 2 women and 1 count of sexual assault involving a 3rd woman. The new charges were brought after a different woman alleged Partey twice raped her on the same day in December 2020. According to a court hearing on Friday, the new allegations arose after the first set of charges were publicized. Partey was not required to attend Friday's preliminary session at the Westminster Magistrates Court. His lawyer, Emma Fenn, indicated he intends to plead not guilty to both charges. The next court date for the case is April 10th. Bringing an end to sports here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, and also bringing an end to this Hot Edition for the week. Of course, we'll be back at same time on Monday to give you a lot more updates. Until then, have a great weekend.